I didn't realise until I started watching mountaineering videos and stuff from the Lake District in Scotland that the reason some people leave cairns is to mark the direction to the top, because the geography's bad, or it helps navigate in a place where you can't work out the way to the top. I didn't know that before. I thought they were just like ancient gravestone sites or something. Look at that glow. It's like something glinting really brightly on that distant hill there. Oh, it stopped. Wonder what it was. A window opening on an attic, maybe? You could play angle puzzles with light, sunlight. It's always fascinated me. You know how it all stems from, you get a watch with a shiny surface. In the right sunlight, you can get the angle right, and you can, always used to do it in high school to annoy people, you can bounce the bright sunlight off your watch. There's bright dot forms on the wall, and you can point it at someone's eye just to like catch their attention, sort of thing, or annoy them. But the concept of that is so fascinating. What if you were to try and brighten up a permanently dark room or a cave by, outside in the daylight, you have a telescope mount with a mirror on it, and it tracks the sun's location as the sun's constantly moving, or the earth is, and it tracks the location it wants to bounce the light, and it places the plane of the mirror facing the exact average between those 2 points, the exact middle between those 2 points, which is always moving throughout the day. That's why you need like a telescopic mount for it, because you turn those things on, they're meant to follow the stars as the stars move across the sky. So you need something similar to that to move the mirror. Then you could create a room that throughout the day, even if it's dark inside, you've always got this bright patch of sunlight inside the room. It's always lit up in the room by sunlight. And then you get thinking about that, you can go deeper into that. You can create all sorts of shit. I also am fascinated by the I want to call it refraction, but I don't think it's refraction. The rebounding of light. Like on a sunny day, you have like a bright yellow or bright orange neon piece of card, and let's say a desk or some drab looking shelves or something. The sunlight comes in, hits the card, and the nearer the card gets to the dark area of the room, the more it bounces the sun. It's better with like a pink or orange or red card, I think. A coloured card rather than yellow, because the sun's yellow anyway. You can see the effect. You can change the colour of the room to this diffuse bounced colour. You could use blue or green even, and that soft bounced colour that comes off the card is what I'm talking about. I want to call it refraction, but I think that's wrong, so I just call it rebounding of light. And again, I think you need like a telescopic mount to fully play with that, or utilise it to its potential, or maybe just a room where the room is full of different angled walls, not just your basic squarish rooms that you walk into day to day as a human, but ones where the corners are all like when you carve. You know, when you carve a gemstone, carve a little emerald or a ruby or a crystal or a diamond, it's got all those facets on the outside, hard but in different angles. Well, imagine all those facets on the inside of something, inside a room rather than outside a gemstone. It's that kind of thing, you know. You know how the Game of Thrones intro is like a globe, like a planet Earth, but on the inside of a sphere rather than the outside. It's kind of that concept. I want a really light selfie stick kind of thing. This camera's quite heavy though, so I don't know how I could use it with this camera. It'd still be heavier, even if I set it back and held a stick to you guys. I think I need a lighter cam that can just do the same amount of detail. Basically, I probably need a GoPro, right? It feels good to exorcise thoughts that trouble you. I guess that's why they call it venting, or venting off steam or something. Like if you give shape to, if you speak with your voice to explain the things that trouble you, you've told it to people, so you've got it out into the world, you've told people about it. I don't know whether the people who hear it are gonna help you or do anything about it, but it does feel good to have at least told people that it's happening and got it off your mind, so you can talk about other things. All of a sudden other subjects appear on the menu to talk about after that point. Here's a weird one. I was just thinking about a friend I had who's a girl. She's not my friend anymore, but her father got cancer and died, and he died, what he got wasn't just cancer, it was like a tapeworm kind of wrapping itself around his spine, and he got it from eating beef, like a steak. Like, so when people say they eat their steaks rare, like, or they don't cook their steaks fully, so I've just started getting into like medium rare steaks. I've always held off from that for ages, just because mainly of this story, you know, the tapeworm that started out as a larvae in the beef thing. This guy doesn't cook his beef properly to kill the tapeworm, or break the beef up into steak mince, so it's in 2 small parts and everything gets cooked fully, and this larvae gets inside him through the steak, grows, and for some, I don't know how it travels through his body, but it gets to his spine, wraps around his spinal column like an appreciable way down, and kind of causes a cancer sort of thing that kills him. Like, that's a terrifying thing that can happen in real life, isn't it, guys? It makes you think twice about steaks. I'm not trying to be a vegan or anything. It's just, it put me off for a long time. And it can still happen, even though I've started eating steak and having medium rare steak and stuff. There's lots of horrible things in this world you find out that can happen. I hate stumbling upon them, getting them in my head, making me depressed. Like watching animal videos where animals are eating other animals and ripping them to shreds, and you think, well, what if there was like an alien civilization who came down to humans and they treated us like a bear treats a cow that it rips up, or hyenas treat a deer or an antelope. These are some of the videos that I saw on some horrific Instagram that for some reason only shows animal gore videos. And at the same time, Instagram bans speech. It bans speech. It lets models go very close to just getting their nips out all over the site. I think it allows age 13 people on the site. I'm sure loads of kids get one. And all the while it's allowing extreme gore animal videos where, God, it's like, it was horrific. I mean, I won't give you trigger warnings or anything, but I saw some things that I'd rather not have watched, to be fair. Kind of bumped into it because Instagram just shows you random stuff from other people who you don't follow, and Twitter's started, like all social media started doing this, and I hate it. So I follow who I want to watch so that I can see things from them. I don't want to see things from the people that I chose not to watch, you know, but these sites show it to you anyway. So it's like, fuck you. There should be a place where if you're not following anyone yet, you can go and find their channels or something. I think mostly you can advertise your YouTube channel or whatever, your Instagram off-site, and people find it via you telling them to go have a look at their page. That's more like how it should be. That's more like how it was in the older internet that I hail from. We're on a ridge. There's a cairn, really basic cairn, and there's the top. Some moody tours over there. I think I'm going to the top today because it's a nice day. Clouds today are nice. 60% cloud cover. Hot sun in between. And nice when a cloud comes over you. Just a tiniest bit chilly. It's like a little Serengeti out here when the sun comes out there. Oh, lovely little camping spot on top. You can't see much from here though, because we're so on top and it's a broad hill. Hides that village. Hides that village. Hides that road. You can't see much when you're up here, but it's a lot flatter. And more places to pitch. Of course, on a windy day you're fucked because you have hardly any cover. Man, I want to get into more of a way of talking like I used to talk. You know, when you're younger and more positive and have more hope for the world, you're more emphatic and what do you say? You emphasize yourself, you enunciate your words. Well, I always try to. You have more wit, you are more exuberant. There's another E word I'm searching for, but I can't find it. Not exaggerative. God, thesaurus brain. Enthusiastic, that's the one. You're more enthusiastic when you're younger and you don't realise what the system is that surrounds you. A bit like being born into a prison. Okay, one thing I wanted to talk about. So I found out recently from Dr. Rambulation, who is a source I trust, on his Twitter. He says he's in America right now. Now this is a dude who is totally against lockdowns and totally against vaccines like myself and masks and all of that. Lots of authoritarian things. He's on the ball with a lot of things he thinks about. He's an MRA with the honey badgers. So he hangs out with Karen Strawn quite a lot. He's like one of the original queens of the anti-SJWs, anti-feminists back in the day, which I was a part of. And anyway, Dr. Rambulation says he's in America. And I'm like, what? Dude? He's like, they are letting unvaccinated, at last, fly to America, across the Atlantic, without checks for, you know, virus checks and all this, and vaccine checks. They are letting you across now. They are letting me across now, that means. They're letting him across now. They're letting anyone who sides with me on these issues, who watches these vlogs, they're letting you across to America, where you can go to some of the only mostly free countries left in the world. I say countries, it's states. Florida, Texas, and I think there's a few higher ups than that. There's a couple that are more north than that, and I can never remember what they are. I have to look into my old folders to find out. Proper castle doctrine, stand your ground states. Yeah, and God, they've opened it up. That was one of the last places that was stopping people travelling with these dumbass restrictions that have been with us since 2020. And yeah, he's going over there. I guess he's going over to see his honey badger friends so he can live podcast with them and go up to Canada and such, where most of them are. I'd like to go over there and go to some of the places, see some of the places, go to a gun range, see what it's like to have freedom, and test your rights that are there to prevent government tyranny and all that. Yeah, but it is a lot of money, and I'm down on my money, so I don't know about it yet. And I know a couple of people over there-ish who might be able to meet me or hang out with me. Gulag Demolition is a guy on Twitter who comes to mind, which, as you can tell by the base name, is probably a mostly cool dude. I think he's got a family. I think Dr. Random McCann's going over there, and Danny Duchamp, who I really got into on YouTube when I found out he was an ANCAP like myself. I think I might be meeting Dr. Random McCann there and doing a collab. He's either an Aussie or a New Zealander, but apparently he lives in America. I didn't realise this. I thought he still lived in totalitarian Australia, but apparently not. And yeah, so Danny Duchamp is a good ANCAP on YouTube to watch. I've also found on YouTube Larkin Rose is a good ANCAP to watch. He's not super charismatic, but his ideas are right on the ball. Well, Tick History has not fully committed to the label of ANCAP, but all his ideas lean directly into what being an ANCAP is. So TIK History. I think Tick is short for the Imperator Knight. Nothing to do with the little gits you find in the fields here. If you're into freedom issues, check those three out. You can hear a lot of crickets out there. Hey, we're going to be on top of something today, on top of a hill. That's a nice feeling. And yeah, so another thing obviously I want to do, apart from going to America some point, is maybe get a car, go to the Lake District, and go to Scotland. Particularly the Lake District's on my mind at the moment. And climb a real mountain. I was thinking of doing videos where, because the highest peak in Dartmoor is 620 metres, yes, Tor and High Will Hayes. So I was kind of thinking, well, if I do travel to climb mountains, why don't I, from that point, so I'm not going to explore everything in the Lake District or Scotland or whatever, there's way too much to see. So why don't I aim to go up the next 100 metres until we get up to whatever Ben Nevis is, or the other Ben, the second highest in Scotland, which sounds kind of cool to go up. Ben something. So why don't we go up? 620 metres is what I've got up to in Dartmoor. Why don't we do a video where I go up 700 metres, 800 metres, 900 metres, 1,000 metres, and then whatever's next. I think it might go up to 1,200, something like. Don't quote me on that if I do get a chance to go up there. Also, still need to get my ass to the sea and do some bodyboarding for real. Here's another thing I want to do. There's a piece of wood here. That is something your dog might like to chew on, but it reminds me of fat wood. I've been watching a lot of Hayes Outdoors and bushcrafty channels, and obviously you saw me try and make fire on my last tarp camp unsuccessfully, and realising the thing that I'm missing is called fat wood. Fat wood is, I believe it's mainly pine wood, and it comes from dead trees, I think, or fallen down trees. Trees fallen down, pine trees fallen down in a storm, something like that. And you have to look for it near the lowest branches of the tree, or in the root system, or on these little knobble things that come off the tree, they come out, and it's like bits where branches used to be, I can't remember the name for them, and you pull them out the tree, and the grain of the wood goes one way to a little knobble where it goes a different way, different direction, and that's where you find the fat wood, and you trim it down, and there's this dark red kind of amber in the wood, not amber, it's sap, it's basically solidified sap. It's like when your body forms a scab when you get an injury. It's like the tree does that. It pumps all the sap into one spot where there's a wound, and then that sap just kind of sits there for the tree's entire life. And it's waterproof, and when you get hold of it, trim down the edges of it and stuff, it's got this reddish sheen, and it's a really great firewood fuel. It takes a flame and keeps it for a long time, so I need to find that stuff and stock up on it. I think there's some people on top today, so I'll let them move on before I go up there. I'll go down to the watery pits. It's not completely dried up. There's a fair amount of water here today. Actually, this bit is sometimes underwater, so I'm like on a bit of the, I was going to say lake bed, it's not even a lake, is it? It's like a large pond. Oh, there's grass here where it submerges. I wonder if that sticks out to islands sometimes when it's at the right level. I think they're firing up on the moors today. That's hair tour, I think. There's little places you could camp here behind the pond. They're mildly slanted though, you would roll down the hill in the night a little bit. I don't know if there's anywhere particularly like actually flat. Let's go up here, is there anything here? It's all kind of slanted down, just enough angle to be a nuisance if you're going to sleep there in the night. Maybe on top of those mounds? I don't know. You're more exposed to wind there. I'm just looking for future camping spots really that I haven't done on this hill. Something here might be a little better. There's one spot here between these hillocks that looks flatter than, it looks like you're in a bit of a divot. You're in a bit of a dip, but it's not as downhill slanted as the rest of the slope, which is mostly open grass without much in the way of you, but it's just like incline, so it's not too good for sleeping in the night. I want to get up these tops, but these people are hanging around. Nice little view out that way. The River Burn source is around there somewhere. Here we go. At the top again. No one's done anything interesting with the cairns around here, they're all piled up. Nice to be at the top of the hill. There is a nice breeze here now. We're in the gap, even while we're where the sun's hitting the ground. It's a nice breeze. I suspect that when a cloud comes over now, it'll get a little bit more than chilly. Lovely day for a walk and talk. Tavy Cleve. Furtor. It is Furtor, isn't it? I've been there now. I've been there. Standon Hill. great achievement of this year, getting to the top of Furtor and Cut Hill in the centre of Dartmoor. That was nice. I'm glad I actually got to do that. It's like one of those big events in life, like when you climb a mountain or go to another country. Actually, the American thing, dropping rules for unvaccinated, it does make me think of other countries. Cyprus was a big one. I went there in 2019, not knowing that all this hell would come about from the far left globalists, lockdowns and all that, and they had some pretty fucked up lockdown rules. Greece dropped theirs pretty early, so for a while now I've been able to go to Greece if I wanted to, but Cyprus, they kept their rules for longer, and I wonder if they've still got those rules now. Imagine someone with a mask walking around a beach in Cyprus. Are you fucking kidding me, dude? Anyway, yeah. Oh, there's a little alleyway through this gorse here. It's kind of funny. It's like a gorse arch. I think the sheep made that, just constantly pushing through into the gorse bush to the point where the gorse just kind of gave up growing in that area. Now it's like the perfect shape. Perfect shape for a sheep. There's this cave here. Probably kip here for the night for shelter. We got to break down the wall, shelter from the storm. When you're temporarily out of employment, as I unfortunately fucking am, you start to lose parts of yourself because you start to get into the mindset, as I have recently, that nothing matters except getting the job. When someone says yes to you and you get the job and you get your income coming back in, because until then, you know, you're just losing money. You buy food to live, and every time you buy food to live, it's money out of your bank account that isn't being replenished. So your bank account is just on a slow, depressing countdown to zero. And the more big things you decide to do or buy, the faster you make that countdown go, and the more bad it feels. So you start compensating for that and going, right, I'm gonna buy less food. I'm gonna not buy as much food. I'm not gonna do any leisure activities. I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm not going to do anything where money is involved. I'm just going to look for jobs. I'm just going to ask for jobs, and they're going to say no. And I'm going to ask for another job, and they're going to say no. But I'm not going to do anything else besides that, like leisure stuff, because it costs money. You know, where can you go? While people are saying, you know, while you live in the state between employment, what do? You get into this horrible mindset that I've been in for a while now, where you just don't want to do anything except job hunt because you think it's a waste or it's just dragging you down. And I don't know which one's the better. Which way is the best way? Should you be so frugal that you're not doing anything, you're not eating anything, you're not having any experiences whatsoever, you're trying to do as little as possible apart from job hunt? Or should you do those things that may deplete your cash because it'll make you happier while you're job hunting, and they'll make you livelier while you're job hunting, even though it'll speed up your demise if they keep doing what they're doing and saying no to you for whatever reasons they deem to come up with. I don't know, man. I don't know what the answer is until someone says yes. It's also hard to keep to your ANCAP libertarian sensibilities when you're not in employment, because, you know, people expect you to be in employment whether you can get hold of it or not. My kinds of people. And they're kind of right. I'm sure some of it is my fault, but I'm not sure how much of it is my fault, because I'm doing all I can do. I'm not sure what other steps I can take. I suppose I could try and find some kind of free trade skill course somewhere. Hay baling, bricklaying, locksmithing, something like that. Actually, the locksmithing one, although it's really appealing to me, it's expensive as fuck to learn, because you have to buy your own tools and you have to pay money for the courses and stuff to become a qualified master locksmith. But when you become a locksmith, you're in the business of privacy and securing property from thieves and things like that. Security, you know, making doors lock, you know. But I suppose they also are in the business of breaking locks and breaking into places using their locksmith skills, but that's mainly for the purposes of when someone goes outside on a trip in their car and then they lose their house keys and they come back and it's like, can't get into my house, need to phone the locksmith to break into my own house. So they're not really breaking into people's houses for evil purposes, but they do have the skills to do that, I suppose. I wonder if any of them abuse it or not. There's a glint shining in the sun. Simply the slant of the roof itself has caught the sun. I thought it was glass. Saying before, like the light refraction thing. It'd be so cool just to build a telescopic mount. You just have to get the perfect angle between the sun and the target. And it has to follow the sun. It doesn't follow the sun through the sky. It follows some invisible patch between the sun and your chosen target. So you might need a computer on the telescope mount to pay attention to the two things and find an average. Yeah. It just sounds like such a cool idea, but such a hard one to pull off, but also you could do so much with it, dude. Amble and ramble, that's what I should call these ones. Not just more rant or more ramble. I could call it an amble and a ramble. Rambling while ambling, dude. Ambulation. Rambulation. Rants, and backpacking bants. No, not that one. Well, for now I'll call it a talk and a walk. Right, so thanks guys for joining me on this talk and a walk vlog about nothing, about everything. And I will see you again in the next video. Catch you later, fools.